Look at the Sea of Galilee and everything around it. This is where Jesus asked Peter, "But who do you say that I am?" And he said, "You are the Son of God." And this is where it happened. This is what they would call the gates of Hades. The same river as mentioned in the Bible. And it's not just mentioned in the Bible, it's where people lived. Biore is showing us today the road to Damascus. And why is the road to Damascus so important? This spot is actually very special as well because this is where the Yom Kippur War was as well. And this is the Mount of Olives. This is where we're standing right now. So a lot of history here. Very highly likely be the road that he took with the donkey and with the palms that they celebrated, of course, the Messiah.
This is where Judah came with the soldiers because he knew the place, because the Lord was teaching here many times.
Right.
It's one of his favorite places to teach.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't just the cross, the normal pain of a crucifixion. Remember, God the Father's wrath on sin came on Jesus. That's why it was so intense as well. And the first time, "My Father, why have you forsaken me?" as well. This is the Bethsaida Vista Point. Look at the Sea of Galilee and everything around it.
Wow.
Summarize the ministry of Jesus on the northern side of the Sea of Galilee. See, it's clearly set the Galilean mountains, Mount Tabor far in the distance. You remember that we saw Mount Tabor from the weather? Yes, and this one, Mount Tabor. And Tabor connected to the story of the Transfiguration, right?
Right.
And traditions,
Yeah.
Transfiguration, and Tabor as well connected to the story of Deborah,
Yes.
the prophetess. Yes. And Mount Hermon, have a look. Right there. See how
Usually it's snowing.
Usually
it has snow.
Usually it has snow. Yes,
Wow.
yes. It's like it's in the Bible. It's
Yeah.
mentioned like the beard of Aaron. It's
Right.
white like the beard of Aaron.
Yeah.
One of the Psalms
And they
talks
have
about
the
it. Yes.
and they have the gates of Hades over
Right,
there,
right
the
below.
Abraham's gate.
Exactly.
This is where Jesus asked Peter, "But who do you say that I am?" And he said, "You are the Son of God."
But who do you say that I am? You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. These carved statues of Baal and Pan and other idols that we passed, they're dead and decaying, but we worship a living God, and you are his son.
And this is where it happened. This is what they would call the gates of Hades. It's a very Greek pantheistic area, and also they would worship the god Pan here. By the way, that's where we get the word panic from.
And imagine you are coming here, paying respect with sacrifices. And what is suggested, the interesting thing with gate of hell or Hades gate, that it says that it was right here to the left. Why? Usually filled with water.
Yeah.
Now, when they brought the offering, if Pan was happy, he would take it down and sing. If Pan, as a god, was not happy, it will float. And when it floated, you have a problem.
You're in trouble.
You are in trouble.
So there was a temple here.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that just moving like 3-4 meters, you
Yeah.
reach and think you are
Wow.
coming with a basket. You are coming with a basket full of fruits, full of meat or whatever.
Yeah.
One for Zeus, one for Nemesis, one for here, one for Pan, one for the nymph.
So literally most of the Greek gods were here and worshipped.
This is the pantheon, the group where the gods seated, and you
But
bring
it's not the early Greeks.
It's late Greek,
Right.
Exactly.
early Roman.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because
Late
there's
Greek.
always a temple for the emperor.
The court of Nemesis.
It's the revenge.
Mm.
The revenge god.
So the Galilean mountains, and right in between all the green area, this is where the Jordan River flows into the Sea of Galilee.
Okay.
The Jordan River flows outside as well towards the Dead Sea. We will be there.
Yeah.
After the inspection, we are going to be there.
The Jordan
And-
River.
The Jordan River. Yeah.
Can you see that? Do you know where we are? This is the Jordan River. A lot of people wait so that they can be baptized right here. This looks really nice. You can actually come here and eat a little bit here. They've got a cafe river, so you can have some coffee, some snacks. But this is the Jordan River. It used to be a lot bigger 2,000 years ago, but now it's a little bit smaller. It's been thousands of years, and you can see they're baptizing people there right now. But this water is so clean. I'm not sure if you can see it with the GoPro, but you'll be able to see the fish in the water. Take a look.
It's extended from right here. This is the exit of the Jordan River. It's
Yeah.
extended all the way to the Dead Sea.
Right.
We will follow on the way to the Dead Sea. We will follow part of the Jordan River.
Okay. The same river as mentioned in the Bible. And it's not just mentioned in the Bible, it's where people lived. But it's where Jesus came, John the Baptist. Where are you?
At the Jordan River.
You know, I can understand why the disciples liked fishing. I mean, there's fish everywhere as well. Look, right here in front of me. So we are now getting closer to the Syrian border. These are the old tanks. You can see Syria right there, and we're here because this is the closest we can get to where Lior is showing us today, the road to Damascus. And why is the road to Damascus so important? Those of you who know your Bibles, that is where Paul, who used to be Saul, went to, and he saw Jesus. And he had the transformation. And from there, then from that moment, of course, after 3 days, he was blind first. But, you know, after that, he became radical and he shared the gospel and wrote most of the New Testament. This is it.
Do you see another anti-tank? You see the anti-tank channel? Yes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, going around.
Yeah. Do you see the fence? Like about 2 kilometers, 1.5 kilometers, like with a barbed wire? You
Yeah.
can zoom. Do you see it?
Yeah.
The straight line?
Yeah.
The road to Damascus. How far are we from Damascus? We are from here to Damascus. We're about 55 kilometers. 55 kilometers, even 50 kilometers, this direction. We'll get to Damascus. I want to show you what does it mean. This is a Syrian tank. See how many bullets he got?
Oh yeah, a lot.
See what does it mean, a direct hit. This is a direct hit of Israeli missile that penetrate into the tank. It's the whole crew.
Not
died.
missile,
A
cannon.
A cannon.
cannon.
A cannon. That's the whole crew, of course. But this is the place where he stopped.
And this is from the battle
Of 73.
73.
Of 73. Imagine. So
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur, we have it here.
These are
Where we-
the marks here, but also you can just say also the marks of God almost. Because God has always been with the nation of Israel.
You can see how it looks at directed and as well. This hole, those are bullet holes. This is a new Syrian tank. It's more of an advance that recently broke.
Not that new.
It's not that new, but
Yeah.
it's much newer compared to
The other one.
the other one. Israel now is operating in Syria, so they managed to bring few
Yeah.
of these tanks. This is a real thing. These two
In a 73.
Yes. in the 73, and we know that this is where they stopped. Just before launching inside Israel,
Yeah.
they were stopped in the last moment, right here by strong and courageous.
And
Strength and courage.
Right.
Strength and courage.
From
Remember,
Joshua.
from Joshua. Joshua
Yeah.
all the time send you be strong and courageous. If
Mm.
you don't have the strength, don't have a courage, both of them, these two qualities needs
Yeah.
to be set together in order to come and to settle down. But then if you don't have, go and settle
Mm.
down. The whole world is for you.
Yeah.
You have one place that is chosen to the people of
Mm.
Israel. Welcome to the land of Israel. This is it.
Be strong and courageous. And that is exactly the area where they killed many of the Druze. And a lot of people were silent. Very easy to scream, free Palestine, but when Druze were being killed, murdered here, they said nothing. And the Israelis helped them. This spot is actually very special as well because this is where the Yom Kippur War was as well. They have the old tanks here as well that actually fought them, still with the bullet holes. These are Syrian tanks. And what happened is they came right here from this valley up and they were outnumbered. And I believe the tanks of Israel here was only 40 or something, and they won because God will fight for Israel. Welcome to the Mountain of Olives.
In the Bible time, this was called Bethany,
Okay.
Beit Anya, the house of the poor. Over the years, the name changed because it became known as the place of Lazarus,
Right.
El Azar. And when the Arabs came here, they called it Azariah. It's the
Okay.
same name, just in Arabic pronunciation.
Right.
Okay.
So until today, they call it Azariah.
Okay.
Neighborhood of. Today, it's part of Jerusalem, part of modern Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But in the Bible, Mount of Olives is outside of Jerusalem.
Okay.
So Bethany would have been a small village town
Yeah.
outside of Jerusalem, very close, but outside of Jerusalem. The Lord comes to Jerusalem,
Yes.
right? He comes in the feasts.
Mhm.
He's not by himself. He's with many other people.
Yes. Yeah.
Tens of thousands at least.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jerusalem is full. The old
Okay.
city, it's very small. We'll look at it, it's very small. So it was very common to go and sleep outside.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay? So it makes sense that he would go specially for Bethany, because this is where the family lived, right?
Right.
Lazarus and the two sisters, Martha and
Yes.
Miriam. And we have 3 stories about them in the New Testament,
Yeah.
which is really rare to have so many stories about people in the New Testament. You don't really have, even the disciples, you have 3 disciples you don't know anything about, just the
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
It
Exactly.
means he was probably there a lot.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was probably his house in Jerusalem was probably there,
Yeah.
in Bethany.
Okay.
Maybe other places as well, but
Right.
mostly over there. And then he would just climb top of Mount of Olives and go down
Yeah.
to the old city.
Right.
That's viewpoint over the old city of Jerusalem, and the Temple Mount, the mountain where the Lord went to heaven and where he's coming back.
And like you just said, this is the Mount of Olives. This is where we're standing right now. So, a lot of history here.
Yeah. So we'll do 5,000 years of history in 5 minutes. Maybe 10. The desert is behind us in the east.
Right.
We're facing west. Over there is the north and the south. Okay?
Okay.
And as we saw, east from here is the desert.
Yes.
So we just sort of came from the desert, and now we're here in the top of the mountain. In Jerusalem, you see the old city. The old city is everything within the walls. But it's a bit confusing because actually the most ancient part is not in the walls. The walls are not that old, only 500 years old. The oldest place is actually, if you look, let's say you look at the dome, right?
Yeah.
The black dome.
Yeah.
And from there you go left and you see the wall. This is the south wall of the old city,
Right.
right? And a bit more you see the road.
Yeah.
And then a bit more and come close to our side, you see there is like a sort of a balcony, wooden balcony, and there's a palm tree over there, date tree.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So this is the beginning of Jerusalem,
Okay.
down there, the
Wow.
hill.
Huh.
Why there? Why do you think?
I don't know.
There's always one reason for things in this land.
Water?
Water, exactly.
Ah.
This is where the spring of Jerusalem is. This is the city of David. We'll be there on Sunday. But it's actually much older than David. David is 1000 BC. This is, according to archaeology, this is about 3000 BC. And according to historical records, we have the first historical records 2000 BC.
Wow.
So at least 2000 years before David, there is already people living there.
Yeah.
And then 1,000 years before David, it's already known to be a city because they found in Egypt inscription that speaks about the kings of Jerusalem.
Wow.
This is very old, but very small and not significant at all until the time of David. Just another
Right.
city on the mountain. Nothing really special about it.
Yeah.
But there, it started over there.
Did they find anything else there in the old times? Because when Abraham came and met with Melchizedek, Melchizedek was the priest king from Salem, which is Jerusalem back then, right? So
Yeah.
is there evidence of that?
Yeah, there is archaeology, especially around the spring.
Okay.
So yeah, some of it dates back. The dating is very tricky,
Right.
but some of it dates back around that time
Okay.
of Abraham. Okay, so especially around the spring. Actually, the most important story is
Join me and my team at DLM Christian Lifestyle on our tour of Israel in 2026, organized in cooperation with Emmanuel Tours. Beyond the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus calmed the storm. Walk on the same steps that Jesus walked to enter Jerusalem. Go in and to see the upper room and the Temple Mount. Imagine Capernaum, where he taught, healed, and lived. Or the Mount of Beatitudes, or as I call it, the Beautities, because it's so beautiful. And beyond, and also where Jesus will come again, where he will stand with his feet on the Mount of Olives. You can also walk through the stories of the Old Testament, from seeing Abraham's gate to the city of David. From the Dead Sea to Mount Hermon, the place where Joshua first came to conquer the land of Canaan at Tel Chatzor. This is ancient history, and you have the signs of the burn marks as well, because the Bible says that. What did Joshua do? He burned it to the ground. Not the other city-states around here, but this one, and the evidence is here. And then not only can you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, but also where they found them at Qumran. There are just too many places to mention here, but we will also take you to see unique ancient places like Gilgal Rephaim, which was there before the Great Flood. Let me use this as an example because it's not easy to get to some of these places. Gilgal Rephaim, you can only get there with a Jeep. So you'll have a fun Jeep ride, and on the way we'll show you things that no other tour group will ever do. Actually, almost no tour group ever go to Gilgal Rephaim.
Oh,
What is that, Nikita?
it's mint.
I believe every Christian should go to Israel at least once, if you are able to go. I went with my father the first time in my early 20s, and I will never ever forget that trip, because you never read the Bible the same again. This is a trip of a lifetime, and that is why I want to invite all of you to go with me and my team. DLM, we are starting Israel tours.
actually the most important story is the story of Abraham, right? Abraham, and God says to Abraham, take your son and bring him to the land of Moriah. In the beginning, in the book of Genesis, this whole place was named the land of Moriah. So it was a name of an area. To the mountain that I will show you. Okay? To the spot, actually, to the place where I will show you.
Yeah.
And Abraham comes from the south, so he's probably standing somewhere here on the left. There is this mountain. They call it the mountain of the evil counsel.
Yeah.
And so he stands over there, and this is the first place where he can actually see the Golden Dome.
Right.
Back then, it's a mountain. Okay, everything is artificially made flat. Much later, but this is a mountain. Imagine the shape of a mountain, and this is the first time he can actually see that. And God says, "This is the place."
Okay.
So he takes Isaac and he brings him to to the spot in the land of Moriah.
Yeah.
While he's bringing him, there is already a city here, or at least a village down here. Okay? But he goes around it. It's not even mentioned in the story. It wasn't important.
It wasn't. Yeah.
But it's right there. Because now the Jews are actually following the word of God much closer.
Yes.
Because in the time of the let's say the Old Testament, they didn't really follow the rules.
Right.
There were very few people actually coming to the temple and actually keeping all of these things.
Yeah.
A lot of them were just idol worshiping.
Right.
In this time, the Romans, they actually start to follow it much more. So the pilgrimage to the temple becomes something much bigger, right? We have the people who live who live around Jerusalem,
Right.
who are coming 3 times a year in the feasts. We have other people a bit further away in the Galilee. They usually would come once a year, or maybe once in 2 years. The Lord himself would probably come 3 times a year when he was ministering.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, when you have in the New Testament story about Jerusalem, it's one of the feasts,
Okay.
one of the 3 feasts: Passover, Pentecost, Shavuot, and Tabernacles, Sukkot. Okay, this is the feast you're supposed to come. And again, the city is full. And because it's full and people are coming more and more, Herod decided to flatten the mountain. So it's not just to show off his building abilities, which he did in many places, like
Yeah.
Masada.
Yes.
This is actually, he actually needed it.
Okay.
Okay, so
Wow.
there was a need for it. And again, the city itself would get very full and people would come and stay outside the city, for example, in Mount of Olives.
Yes.
Okay. So that's how that worked. It's interesting about the Lord himself, for example, when he comes to Jerusalem, he doesn't do so many miracles here, like in the Galilee. He mostly is teaching here, and he gets to trouble here.
Yeah.
Because this is where the elite lives, the priests. But he basically he's teaching in 2 different areas. If he wants to teach the crowd, all of the people, it says that he's teaching in the temple,
Right.
not inside the building, but around the building. So in that flat floor over there.
Yeah.
So he was teaching there when he was speaking to the crowd. And if he wanted to go a little bit by himself with the disciples, teach only them, he would go outside and he would come to Mount of Olives over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says he would love to teach in the Mount of Olives, to be alone with the disciples.
Yeah.
Yes.
For example, in Gethsemane, which is down there, you see there is the red roofs over there.
Yes.
So a bit closer to us, there's
Right.
another roof. This is the area of Gethsemane.
Wow. Okay.
So he would go just outside, away from the crowd, alone with his disciples, and he would be teaching here.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of the dynamic in the Gospels. You can see it very clearly.
Wow.
Sometimes with all the crowd, sometimes just with them.
Yeah.
Another destruction.
Yes.
As he said,
As he prophesied.
as he
Yeah.
prophesied. The Roman destruction this time. So again, everything just gets wiped off, including the temple itself, which is never rebuilt, and the city. It will be rebuilt again by the Romans a bit later, so around 135 AD, something like that. And this time it will look a bit closer to the old city of today. So all the south part, which is outside the walls, would be left out gradually,
Yeah.
and the city would move to the north.
Okay.
Already in the time of Herod, it moved to the north, but in the Roman time, it sort of exclusively moved to the north. Okay. One of the reasons is they don't need the spring because they have aqueducts of water, so they can
Right.
bring water from afar. And it will start to look more like the old city of today. And actually, the streets of the old city of today, they're based on the Roman streets,
Okay.
not of the Bible, but of after the destruction.
Right.
After the biblical destruction, they would just rebuild it. So it would start to look like the old city of today. And when the Romans become Christian, they start to build the churches in the city. They would build one very ancient church over there in the area of the top of the mountain.
Yes.
And a second one will be the church of the Holy Sepulchre. Okay, the tomb.
Yeah.
We can see it from here. If you take the Golden Dome
Yeah.
and you go to the left, at some point there is a gray domes, sort of in the middle.
There
of
in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, two gray domes.
Yes.
Okay, you see that?
Yeah.
So this is the church.
Okay.
Okay, today it's in the Christian quarter of the city. Back then it's outside the city actually. The city moved to that area
Yeah.
over time. So they would build the churches.
Yeah.
And when the Muslims would come here, they would build the buildings that you see now on the Temple Mount, which are also quite old, 7th, 8th century.
Okay.
So we have the Golden Dome,
Yeah.
which marks the stone where the Jews believed that Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac.
Yeah.
And they have a different tradition that says that this is where Muhammad went to heaven,
Right.
and he got the commandment to pray 5 times a day.
Yes.
So this is their story about it, and that's why they have the dome.
Yeah.
It's like a shrine, it's not a mosque.
Okay.
On the left, you see the mosque, the one with the black dome. This is Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Okay.
Okay, sometimes they call the whole thing Al-Aqsa, but specifically is the mosque.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, this is the main mosque of Jerusalem, which in Fridays will become full.
Right.
of people praying. So actually, in a couple of hours, this whole floor will start to become full of people praying. And you know, in Israel we have earthquakes.
Right.
Leo probably told you some stories about earthquakes.
Yeah.
But all the valley you basically drove through is like a fault.
Yes.
Yeah. Fault. So Jerusalem gets impact with earthquakes. And about every 100 years there's a huge earthquake. And actually the mosque is special because it doesn't stand on the mountain, it stands on the artificial floor.
Yeah.
It was destroyed and rebuilt like 5 times over the years since it was built. Actually it was twice bigger originally.
Right. And Jesus is when he was crucified, there was an earthquake.
Yes.
Yes. And there's proof here.
Yes, also in the Old Testament it speaks about the earthquake in Jerusalem. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're a Christian?
I'm
Messianic.
Yeah.
Messianic
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Guess where we are? This could be the Palm Road, right? We walked down here to Jerusalem in the old days. Do you remember what happened with Jesus on the donkey? This could very highly likely be the road that he took with the donkey and with the palms that they celebrated, of course, the Messiah. So there's graves to the right, graves to the left, but there's also ancient graves here.
The bodies of the people are underground. This is just to mark the place. Right. So they're not lying inside the stone. Okay. They're under the stone.
I'm gonna scream a little bit, hopefully you can hear me, but I never knew it was this far. I mean, it's far for Jesus to go on the donkey into Jerusalem. You can see Jerusalem there in the front. It's just beautiful, and of course you can see the Temple Mount right there.
If he would stay here on Mount of Olives, it means that every day he would walk maybe even several times there and back.
Yeah.
So they had really good shape back then. They would walk back and forth.
Yeah.
Just a normal thing to walk up the mountain. We're walking down usually with the groups, but they would walk up and down, up and down, up and down, even many times a day.
Feels like lunges if you have to walk up and down here. They probably had really legs full of muscles.
Believe it or not, this is a two-way road.
Oh.
Whoa, some bees, look at that. Welcome to the Garden of Gethsemane.
But this cup cannot pass unless I drink it. Your will be done. Your will be done.
This is from the Gospel of John. We have four versions, obviously. So this is after the Last Supper. It means he's in the city.
Yeah.
And then it says Jesus went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley, which is down there, to the place where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. But this gives us sort of a geographical location of going outside the valley to the other side.
So this is the area.
The name Gethsemane doesn't appear in John, but it appears in Matthew and Mark.
Right.
And it actually has a meaning. It's not exactly a name, it's a word. Gat Shmanim, or Gat Shamnei. It means olive oil press, the place where you produce the olive oil.
Yeah.
Shemen is oil.
Yeah.
And Gat is like a factory, like agricultural factory.
Okay.
So the place where you produce the olive oil.
Right.
And this makes perfect sense because we're in the Mountain of Olives. Many olives here.
Yeah.
By the way, here you can see olives, and when they get older, they get wider. They don't get taller. So some of the real wide ones, they also start to break.
Yeah.
They checked and they think they are about 900 years old.
Ooh, that's very old.
Yeah. And there's about 8 of them. And they also checked and they saw that they have the same ancestors. So now we say that maybe their grandfather was here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or father was here at a time. But all of this mountain is basically a place of olives.
Okay.
And what we have on the other side, the temple,
Ah.
right, where they would use olive oil,
Right.
right? Now the olive press, where they would produce it, was usually outside the city because it made a lot of smell and mess. So they would usually put it outside the city.
Right.
So this also makes sense. Plus they found some stones that were used for crushing oils, crushing the olives, very close, like there. So this is most likely the place.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't say they were sitting on the factory. It said they were sitting on the garden next to it.
Right.
Garden probably means olive tree plantation, not like flowers and stuff, but something like that.
Right.
So this makes a lot of sense that this is the area. It says in the Gospel of John, the next verse, which is not written there, that this is where Judah came with the soldiers, because he knew the place, because the Lord was teaching here many times.
Right.
It's one of his favorite places to teach.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he wasn't just that night; he was teaching here many times.
Yeah.
Again, outside of the crowd, the huge mess of the city, of the
Yeah.
temple, to a place which is more quiet. So
Yeah.
he would usually just teach his disciples over here.
Yeah.
Okay? So it really fits well with the understanding we have about it.
What many people don't realize is that there would have been many more things that Jesus did while he was here, but it wasn't written up. Because the Bible says if everything Jesus said or did had to be written up, even the world could not contain the books. So he was here many times teaching. That is amazing. This is special because like the olive press and the juices would come out, Jesus would be crushed for our iniquities and his blood flowing from the cross.
There's something interesting you can see here, that from the roots of the olive tree you have these new shoots.
Yes.
Yeah. The Garden of Gethsemane, and then right across it we have the city of Jerusalem. So he came outside here, prayed, and he preached here many times, coming separate from the people there to talk to his disciples as well. This is one thing where we can see that Jesus was 100% man as well. He was 100% God, but also 100% man, because he felt what did he say? His soul, right? In anguish, and sweating so much that he had blood. Medically speaking, we could see that is also something that could, of course, be true if you have that amount of anguish. And that's what happened here. And you need to understand, it wasn't just the cross, the normal pain of a crucifixion. Remember, God the Father's wrath on sin came on Jesus. That's why it was so intense as well. And the first time, my Father, why have you forsaken me as well? All of your sin, all of my sin, all of it on Jesus Christ. That's why we cannot save ourselves just by trying to be good. We're not Christians because we do good deeds. We're Christians. Why? Because we're changed and we are accepted by Jesus Christ, right? He declared us as righteous, God the Father, through what Jesus did on the cross. And then he changed us, gave his Spirit to us, and now with his Spirit only are we able to live a righteous life. And it's still this stand and fall relationship with God, because we have the sinful flesh still. That will only be gone one day when we're with Christ, but we also have the Holy Spirit. So we need to be led according to the Spirit, and that will give us the strength to overcome sin. And this is where they believe Jesus was born.
So this is one of the caves that were in use in the time when the angel of God appeared to the shepherds.
I can almost see in my mind's eye Jesus walking up here, the disciples, and of course the crucifixion as well. So this would be the area where Abraham came and God showed him where he needs to sacrifice his son. These underground caves, in brackets, prisons. So when Jesus was kept overnight before his crucifixion, this is the typical place of where they would have kept him. According to tradition, that is where the room was. The Last Supper. One of the places they think it might have been where Jesus was crucified, but probably not up there, but actually down here.